Masithandaze. Almighty God, you have called us to govern this province. We ask your help to make decisions and laws that will be just and will promote the interests of our people. On magtige God, ons bid dat u gedrende ons vergadrings. Ons dien dege wysheid sal gee en ons motiewe suiwer sal hou. En dat u ons sal help om ons tekortkominge te oorkom en al ons besluite aan u op te dra. Sigelela Nkosi ilizwe lethu nabantu balo. Umisele Nkosi ukulunga kwiphondo lethu. Nkosi sikelele iAfrika. Gcina abantwana bayo. Khokhela Nkosi inkokheli zayo. Inike uxolo Nkosi iAfrika. All this we beg in your most holy name. Amen. You may all be seated. Honorable Premier, honorable members, and special guests, government officials, you are welcome. And very good morning to all of you. The order before us is for the Minister of Finance to address this House, and that is the only order that is before us. I therefore recognize the Secretary to read the first order of the day. Mr. Secretary, will you please take your seat? Order. Is there a point of order, Honorable the Leader of the Opposition?
Thank you very much, Speaker. Just on a point of order, and the matter is a constitutional one, which also impacts on our provincial constitution, our national constitution, and the rules. In your introduction, you refer to the fact that the order of the day is a speech by the Minister of Finance. Now, as far as I'm aware, there is one Minister of Finance. There is a Provincial Minister of Finance. Some people refer to that person as the MEC, but it's actually the Provincial Minister of Finance. It's not the Minister of Finance.
Order, 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 honorable members. Order, honorable members. Thank you, honorable members. You will also recognize that this is the first time this House sits here in the new year, because we had our supper outside. And so welcome back. It was a wonderful supper. I'm sure you can put the hands together for yourselves. So we made history by taking supper to Mitchell's Plain, and that is what we'll be doing. We're going out all the time from now on. I think it's going to be exciting to see that, how we do that going forward. That was not a point of order, honorable member. But that was a point, because when we're here, order, honorable member, you are correct that it's a provincial minister of finance. That's correct. But when we're here, we are in parliament, in the provincial legislature, which is the provincial parliament of this province. So in light of that, let me say, let us agree that we are in the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, and therefore there's no need to rise on a point of order. It's a debatable matter, but the Speaker will not debate you. Premier, I recognize you.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and specifically on the point raised by the Leader of the Opposition that the Provincial Minister will be making his speech, could I say that this House recognize the National Minister of Finance, who is in the gallery?
Yes. I was earlier told that the Minister of Finance will be sitting here. Now I look, I don't see him. So You are recognized, Honorable Minister, and the other honorable members from the National Parliament. You are recognized. Of course, Honorable Member. Of course. Thank you very much. Now I would like to request members, order. Order. Mr. Secretary, will you please read the first order?
Introduction and first reading, Western Cape Appropriation Bill B3 2020.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I now recognize the Honorable Minister.
Honourable Speaker and Deputy Speaker, Honourable Premier and Cabinet colleagues, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Leaders of Opposition parties, Executive Mayors and Deputy Mayors, Honourable Members of the Western Cape Legislature, Members of the Consular Corps, Heads of Department, Municipal Managers, special guests, and of course, people of the Western Cape. 2 weeks ago, Premier Alan Winde delivered his second State of the Province address, where he set out what had been delivered, what would be delivered, and committed to fighting for you, all of you in the Western Cape. He set out a bold vision of our future, captured in our provincial strategic plan, which committed us to putting your needs, your choices, and your dreams at the heart of everything we do to build a safe Western Cape where everyone prospers, so that you feel safe, so that you have jobs, and so that you have hope for our future in the Western Cape. Premier Alan Winde delivered his second State of the Province address at the historic Rockland Civic Centre in Mitchell's Plain to remind us that for many of you, your needs, your choices, and your dreams were shattered by our terrible history in South Africa. So let us not forget that we all have a special duty, as our Constitution reminds us, to heal the injustices of the past and to work towards building a united and democratic South Africa. And I'd like to pause here for a moment and extend a very warm welcome and say that I'm touched and honored that the Minister of Finance, Tito Mboweni, has joined us here for Budget Day in the Western Cape. I am sure that you will agree that he has all the attributes a finance minister requires, including being capable of repeatedly saying no, being capable of picking holes in spending proposals, and being someone who has a sharp brain, attention to detail, and most important of all, a thick skin. Of course, the minister, like all finance ministers, walks a fine line because there is always the danger of ending up like poor Edmund Dudley, King Henry VII's finance minister, who after filling the king's coffer with coin was beheaded because he had upset the nobility. Speaker, we have listened to you and we have heard you, and today we are tabling a budget. You do not have a job, or you have given up looking for a job. This is a budget for you. And if you create jobs by starting a new business or expanding an existing business, this is also a budget for you. So if you do not have opportunity to reach your dreams, and if you are in government and you have good ideas about how government can do things differently, this is also a budget for you. We trust that our budget for you will give you, all of you, hope for our future in the Western Cape. Speaker, I would like to pause here for a moment to deal with the possible impact of the coronavirus, or COVID-19 as it is known, because it is on so many people's minds after the first case was identified last week in KwaZulu-Natal. We know many of you are concerned about the impact of the virus on yourselves, on your children, on your family, and on your business in the Western Cape. However, I would like to stress the following. First, to date, there are no confirmed cases of coronavirus in our province. Second, our Provincial Health Department has a plan and is working closely with the National Department of Health and the National Institute of Communicable Diseases. And third, should anybody test positive for the virus in our province, our Provincial Health Department is prepared to respond. We at Provincial Treasury have made provision for unanticipated events, and we stand ready to support the Health Department should the coronavirus reach the Western Cape. We have a plan, we are prepared, which brings me to my final point, and it is this. There is a lot of fake news about the coronavirus. So we should all stop and think before circulating alarming and possibly fake news. And as Tim Hartford of the Financial Times urges, count to 10 and ask yourself whether this is really the best thing to amplify. Whether fighting a virus or a viral scare story, each of us needs to erect small barriers to slow the contagion. Alone, those barriers may seem trivial. Collectively, they work. Speaker, when I read bedtime stories to my daughter, they often remind me that national government is rather like the grand old Duke of York's 10,000 men, who when they are up, they are down. And when they are down, they are up. Because in the end, they are neither up nor down, which has serious implications for South Africa. We have a national government moving in opposite directions at the same time, which goes a long way to explain why we are in deep economic trouble and have an economy in recession, staggering levels of unemployment, unstable public finances, zombie state-owned enterprises, and massive fiscal risks in South Africa. We also have significant downside risks in the form of planned load shedding, trade wars, oil wars, and of course the coronavirus, which will have a negative impact on the economy in South Africa. What most people do not seem to realize is that even if the proposed structural reforms outlined in the document towards an economic strategy for South Africa are implemented by national government, which seems unlikely, economic growth will not exceed 2% over the medium term, which is simply insufficient to sustain our public finances. And even if the public sector wage bill is cut by 160 billion rand by national government, which also seems unlikely, national debt still explodes over the medium term to a staggering 4.38 trillion rand, or 70% of GDP, which is regarded by international financial institutions as a high-risk threshold. And worse, National Treasury have conceded that they will not be able to stabilize national debt and that the risk of a sovereign credit rating downgrade to junk status is more pronounced in South Africa. To illustrate the point, consider the fact that national government will spend 290.1 billion rand on debt service costs in 2022-23, which is 2.7, I beg your pardon, which is 27.7 billion rand more than national government will spend on basic education, and 68.2 billion rand more than national government will spend on health, and 5.7 billion rand more than national government will spend on social development in this financial year, 2019-20 in South Africa. What this means is that national government are in danger of losing control of our public finances in South Africa. Speaker, we, in contrast, have worked hard to create an enabling environment for the private sector and for the markets to drive economic growth and to create jobs in the Western Cape, which is why we have a growing economy, expanding employment, and improving human development in the Western Cape. We may have to revise our economic outlook, but we currently expect the economy to recover and to grow at an average of about 1.6% over the next 5 years in the Western Cape. We think there are significant risks going forward, so we have also implemented a decisive and robust provincial fiscal strategy, and will continue to focus on proper expenditure management, proper revenue management, and maintain a balanced budget, and continue to apply the principles of allocative efficiency, fiscal sustainability, fiscal consolidation, and fiscal discipline in the Western Cape. However, despite this, we were put on notice by the Finance Minister last year that difficult decisions would have to be made, and we would have to pencil in large reductions to provincial budgets across South Africa. We made some tough decisions and planned for a worst-case scenario, which required us to cut our provincial budget by 5%, or 2.6 billion rand in 2020-21, 6%, or 3.4 billion rand in 2021-22, and 7%, or 4.1 billion rand in 2022-23 in the Western Cape. We hoped for the best, and we planned for the worst. And we warned at the time that the proposed budget cuts risked compromising service delivery, especially in education, in health, and in social development in the Western Cape. However, after what has been a very difficult budget process, we are pleased that the worst-case scenario has not materialized, which is very good news for the Western Cape, which is why we have been able to protect spending on education, on health, and on social development in the Western Cape. The fact is, our provincial equitable share was decreased as a result of fiscal consolidation and cost of employment adjustments. However, these decreases were offset by increases in our provincial equitable share as a result of increases in our provincial equitable share formula to correct for population, and increases in our provincial equitable share to support gender-based violence, sanitary dignity, and additional social workers in the Western Cape. We have a proven track record of spending money for the purpose it was intended, and for that reason, we have received, in addition, additional allocations for some conditional grants in the Western Cape. Today, we table the Western Cape Additional Adjustments Appropriation Bill, where national government allocates an additional 98.5 million rand to the Human Settlements Department to accelerate housing delivery in Breede Valley, the Transhex, in Witzenberg, Vredebes, and in Cape Agulhas, Bredasdorp, precisely because these funds could not be spent by the Free State, by Gauteng, by Limpopo, and by the Northern Cape. Where we had previously penciled in budget cuts, we have been able to make additional allocations of 1.2 billion rand in 2020-21, 275 million rand in 2021-22, and 490 million rand in 2022-23 in the Western Cape. We are therefore in a much better position than we anticipated, and we are ready to respond to future risks in the Western Cape. Speaker, today we table our budget for you, in which we plan to spend 71.6 billion rand in 2020-21, 74.9 billion rand in 2021-22, and 78.3 billion in 2022-23 on you in the Western Cape. We want to achieve 5 key objectives with our budget for you in the Western Cape. We want to support our new vision-inspired priorities set out in our new provincial strategic plan. We want to protect spending on education, on health, and on social development. We want to hold the line on investment in new and existing infrastructure assets. We want to prepare for a cleaner, greener energy future, and we want to be ready to respond to future risks that may negatively impact on the Western Cape. We will spend the budget across 5 districts and across 30 municipalities. And so over the next financial year, we will spend 49.2 billion rand in the city of Cape Town, 8.1 billion rand in the Cape Winelands, 3.6 billion rand in the West Coast, 2.7 billion rand in the Overberg, and we will spend 904.2 million rand in the Central Karoo. Speaker, we have a new provincial strategic plan, which will focus on 5 key vision-inspired priorities over the next 5 years to create a safe Western Cape where everyone prospers. We know that too many people, like many of you, have been victims of crime. And so our first strategic priority is to create a safe and cohesive community in the Western Cape. We will spend 4 billion rand over the medium term to create safe and cohesive communities by increasing the effectiveness of policing, by strengthening programs to reduce family violence, by strengthening programs to assist youth at risk, and by making the places where you live safer, and by reducing gender-based violence and gangsterism in the Western Cape. We will spend 1.1 billion rand over the medium term to deploy more law enforcement officers to fight crime, especially violent crime, so that you feel safe in the Western Cape. We will spend 58.3 million rand over the medium term to give more young people who live in tough neighborhoods the opportunity to attend an expanded chrysalis academy so that they are not vulnerable to drugs and gangs in the Western Cape. And we will spend 1.3 billion rand over the medium term to improve law enforcement on our roads by increasing the number of traffic officers, improving the training of our traffic officers, and enhancing the technology and data systems used by our traffic officers so that they can keep our roads safe for you in the Western Cape. We will do all this to create safe and cohesive communities for you in the Western Cape so that you live in a safe and healthy environment and your children's schools are safe places for learning, so that you can travel safely to work, and so that you can enjoy our beautiful environment, to climb our mountains, to walk along our beaches, and to picnic in our forests with your family and friends. Speaker, we know that too many people, like many of you, do not have jobs And so our second strategic priority
honourable members.
is to boost economic growth and job creation in the Western Cape. We will spend 32.4 billion rand over the medium term to boost economic growth and create jobs, by making it easier to do business, by maintaining our infrastructure and building new infrastructure, by helping businesses export more of their products and their services, by creating opportunity for young people through skills development, and by making sure we manage our water and energy resources and reduce our waste in the Western Cape. We will spend 102.1 million rand over the medium term to establish an ease of doing business unit, which will focus on eliminating systemic constraints to economic growth, such as visa regimes, port tariffs, trade barriers, and planning delays, so that we make it easier for you to start a business or to expand an existing business in the Western Cape. We will spend 263.7 million rand over the medium term to support youth skills development initiatives, including artisan development, skills for the technology economy, financial and business sector skills, improved quality of math, science, and engineering qualifications, and entrepreneurial skills development, so that our young people have the right skills to fill the jobs available now and in the future in the Western Cape. And we will spend 561.7 million rand over the medium term to increase tourism, trade, and investment promotion by Westgrow, so that more Western Cape products and services are taken to growth markets around the world, so that the full range of tourism experiences available across our province are promoted to domestic and international travelers and event organizers, and so that opportunities are realized for new investment and business expansion across all growth sectors in the Western Cape. We will do this to create an enabling environment for the private sector and for the markets to drive economic growth and create jobs for you, so that you have more job opportunities and the right skills and experience for the jobs of the future, and so that it is easy for you to start your own business or expand an existing business in the Western Cape. Speaker, we know that too many people, like many of you, aren't able to reach your full potential because you don't have access to the services you need. And so our third strategic priority is to empower people in the Western Cape. We will spend 173.8 billion rand over the medium term to empower people by providing specialized support for children up to the age of 5, by providing a safe, positive environment in our schools where our children can receive the skills they will need for the future, by providing you with the skills and opportunities you need to enter the world of work, and by improving healthcare services for you and encouraging you to make healthy lifestyle choices in the Western Cape. We will spend 2.2 billion rand over the medium term on early childhood development to ensure that your children receive the support they need and that they have the best possible start in life, from the day they are born to the day that they start primary school in the Western Cape. We will spend 8.4 billion rand over the medium term to provide support to the most vulnerable people in our society, including young people at risk as a result of substance abuse, women and children who are victims of domestic violence, older persons who require home care, and persons with disabilities in the Western Cape. And we will spend 31.5 million rand over the medium term to pilot a sanitary dignity project in rural areas so that young women and girls do not have to be absent from school or drop out from school in the Western Cape. And we will do all this to empower you so that every stage of your life, your needs are met to ensure you can reach your full potential, so that your children are raised in a stimulating and safe environment, and that if you and your child are at risk, you have access to the support that you need in the Western Cape. Speaker, we also know that too many people, like many of you, do not have your own home, live far away from where you work, and that travel is often unsafe and too expensive. And so our fourth strategic priority is to promote mobility and spatial transformation in the Western Cape. We will spend 24.6 billion rand over the medium term to promote mobility and spatial transformation by connecting places through public transport, by providing more housing and economic opportunities in good locations, and by improving places where people live and work in the Western Cape. We will spend 474.1 million rand over the medium term to roll out the fourth phase of the Go George bus transit system so that people who live in Tembeletu, Parkdean, Borchards, Conville and Levikamp have access to bus services in the Western Cape. We will spend 7.4 billion rand over the medium term on housing projects and provide over 100,000 housing opportunities so that more people have a home or can rent a home in the Western Cape. We will spend 74.9 million over the medium term to extend the regional socio-economic program to ensure that we continue to invest in infrastructure that connects people, improves safety, and creates jobs for you in the Western Cape. And we will do this to promote mobility and spatial transformation for you, so that you live in a neighborhood that you are proud of, that is vibrant, that is inclusive, and that is safe and close to your work, your school and your clinic and your shops and your places of worship, so that you are able to use a public transport system that is well connected, affordable and safe, so that you can easily and cost effectively travel across the Western Cape. Speaker, to meet your needs and to ensure that you have opportunities and help to realize your dreams, we will constantly look for new and innovative ways of doing things in government. And so our fifth strategic priority is to promote innovation in government in the Western Cape. We will spend 7.5 billion rand over the medium term to promote innovation in the provincial government by focusing on you, by working with you to improve and find new ways to deliver services to you, by bringing different spheres of government together, and by building on our track record of good governance in the Western Cape. We will spend 25.1 million rand over the medium term on establishing a war room that will use a new and innovative approach called the problem-driven iterative adaptation methodology that will tackle major challenges, including safety, mobility, and the built environment in the Western Cape. And we will do this to ensure that this government works for you, so that this government is more effective and we do things differently so that we can deliver even better services to you. Speaker, you will recall that President Cyril Ramaphosa announced a new youth employment initiative during his recent State of the Nation address, to be funded by setting aside 1% of the national budget to deal with high levels of youth unemployment in South Africa. We support the Youth Employment Initiative, and in fact, we already spend more than 1% of the provincial budget on young people in the Western Cape. So over the medium term, we will spend 2.8 billion rand on youth development programs in the Western Cape, which include spending 9.4 million rand on our Youth in Service program, which provides work readiness and skills development to our young people. Spending 35.9 million rand on our youth cafes, where our young people can access personal development training and career advice in the Western Cape. Spending 78.1 million rand on our Premier's Advancement of Youth program, which will accommodate just over 1,000 school leavers and provide them with the skills development through mentoring, coaching, and career guidance. And spending 356.3 million rand on our child development and youth care centres, which provide young people with safe spaces to grow and develop. Speaker, we are committed to protecting frontline service delivery, such as education, health, and social development in the Western Cape. So over the medium term, we will spend 79.4 billion rand on education, 83.2 billion rand on health, and 8.4 billion rand on social development in the Western Cape. We have done so because your education matters, your health matters, and your welfare matters to us in the Western Cape. We also committed to maintaining spending on new infrastructure and existing infrastructure assets in the Western Cape. We will spend 2.6 billion rand on new infrastructure assets and 16.7 billion rand on existing infrastructure assets over the medium term in the Western Cape, which includes spending 9.6 billion rand on the maintenance of existing transport assets, including, for example, the resealing of the Baines-Kloof Pass, spending 3.1 billion on the maintenance of existing education assets, which includes the upgrading of the Worcester Pre-Primary School, and spending 2.3 billion rand on the maintenance of existing health assets, including the upgrading of the Helderberg Hospital in the Western Cape. But it also includes spending 1.8 billion rand on new education infrastructure, including the new Waveren Secondary School in Witzenberg, spending 431.5 million rand on new health infrastructure, including the new Avian Park Clinic in Breeda Valley, and spending 236.6 million rand on catalytic infrastructure in the Atlantis Special Economic Zone and in the Saldanha Industrial Bay Development Zone in the Western Cape. We will continue to hold the line on spending on new and existing infrastructure assets, because spending on infrastructure boosts economic growth, creates jobs, and in the end, most importantly, is an investment in the future of the Western Cape. And we at Provincial Treasury stand ready to work with departments and entities to improve the infrastructure delivery pipeline in the Western Cape. Speaker, give me a moment. Cheers. Speaker, when stage 6 load shedding hit us last year, we were reminded that we face an energy crisis, with load shedding costing the provincial economy millions of rands per stage per day in the Western Cape. We know that a new philosophy of maintenance has been announced, and that we can expect more frequent planned load shedding for the next 24 months in the Western Cape. We are concerned, however, that the situation is likely to be more acute and that load shedding is likely to be with us for longer than anticipated. And because of that, we have established an Energy Security Committee to respond to the energy crisis in the Western Cape. We, together with the City of Cape Town, who led the fight in the courts, have done more than any other province to prepare for a different energy future in the Western Cape, which is why we were delighted to hear that national government will implement measures to rapidly and significantly increase generation capacity, and that municipalities will finally be allowed to purchase electricity from independent power producers to help fix our energy crisis in South Africa. We have a plan to work towards a new, cleaner, greener energy future that in time will make our province the most energy secure province, which includes helping municipalities to procure energy from independent power producers, increasing small-scale embedded generation, and increasing the greening of government buildings, fast-tracking efforts to import liquefied natural gas through Saldanha Bay, and enabling the Ankerlig plant to operate on gas rather than the more expensive diesel, and working with large commercial players to help them with load curtailment measures, and where possible, and continuing to support businesses with free advice and support on alternative energy solutions in the Western Cape. We have allocated a budget of 60 million rand over the medium term to the green economy team to support municipalities who wish to procure electricity from independent power producers in the Western Cape. While we await clarity on the specifics, our team is building on the great work already done on energy in this province and are preparing for a cleaner, greener energy future in the Western Cape. However, we have to introduce a note of caution here because there are no real quick fix solutions, and it is going to take time, some time, for municipalities to actually begin procuring electricity from independent power producers in the Western Cape. Speaker, we live in turbulent times and we live in uncertain times with major downside risks to the economic outlook in South Africa. With national debt and debt service costs spiraling out of control, and with little prospect of the proposed public sector wage bill moderation materializing, we may face significant budget cuts in the future in the Western Cape. We have therefore made provision as best we can to mitigate the risk to the economic outlook in the Western Cape. We have held the line and will build our reserves over the medium term in the Western Cape. We have 1 billion rand in our fiscal stabilization reserve to deal with possible fluctuations in our provincial equitable share allocation in the Western Cape. We have 500.7 million rand in our service load pressure reserve to deal with increased pressure to deliver services in the Western Cape. And we have 208.4 million rand in our unforeseeable and unavoidable expenditure reserve to provide for unanticipated events in the Western Cape. Speaker, we have also held the line on spending on compensation of employees by setting personnel upper limits on departments in the Western Cape. However, we plan to go further and implement a compensation of employees reduction strategy, which includes terminating performance bonus allocations in 2021-22, limiting overtime spending, carefully managing leave payout, and limiting the growth in personnel so that personnel numbers are proportional to departmental priorities in the Western Cape. We have also held the line on spending on goods and services in the Western Cape. However, we plan to go further and explore a range of new measures, including conducting performance and expenditure reviews, implementing an e-procurement system, exploring further cost containment measures, reviewing the mandates of public entities, improving facilities management, partnering with the private sector, and tightening up on reporting, monitoring, and compliance with existing cost containment measures in place in the Western Cape. Speaker, we have worked hard, perhaps harder than any other province, to deliver clean government in the Western Cape, which is why we will take a hard line, a very hard line, and investigate without fear or favor any allegations of corruptions in governments in the Western Cape. That is why we have allocated an additional 8.2 million rand over the medium term to strengthen the forensic investigation unit within the local government department in the Western Cape. We should never forget that what makes us different in government is that the money we spend does not belong to us, it belongs to you, the people of the Western Cape. Speaker, the budget for you, tabled here today, puts your needs, your choices,
honourable members,
and your dreams at the forefront of everything that we do in the Western Cape. We will work hard to land our vision of a safe Western Cape where everyone prospers, which is why we will spend 4 billion rand over the medium term so that you feel safe in the Western Cape. 32.4 billion rand over the medium term so that you get a job and reach your dreams in the Western Cape. 173.8 billion rand over the medium term so that you reach your full potential in the Western Cape. 24.6 billion rand over the medium term so that you have a home in the Western Cape. And 7.5 billion rand over the medium term so that you have even better government in the Western Cape. We trust that our budget for you will give you, all of you, hope in your future in the Western Cape. Speaker, in closing, I would like to thank Premier Alan Winde and all my cabinet colleagues for their leadership and support during what has been a very difficult budget process resulting in the finalization of this provincial budget. I also wish to extend my gratitude to David Savage, the head official at the Provincial Treasury, and Team Finance, under the leadership of Acting Deputy Director General of Fiscal and Economic Services, Julinda Gantana. My staff in the ministry, thank you for all your support and for keeping the office running so effectively. Most important, I would like to thank my family and my amazing wife, Bronwyn, who is literally the best mother in the world. I'm grateful for your love, for your patience, and for all your support. support. Speaker, so it now gives me great pleasure to table these beautiful books, the overview of provincial revenue and expenditure, the overview of provincial and municipal infrastructure investments, the estimates of provincial revenue and expenditure, the Western Cape 2020 Appropriation Bill, the Provincial Gazette of Allocations to Municipalities, the Western Cape Additional Adjustments Appropriation Bill, and my speech for discussion and deliberation by the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. In the end, this is a budget for you, all of you in the Western Cape. I thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. Order. Thank you, Honorable Minister Menier. Before I proceed with the rest of the order for the day, I recognize that there's a point of order there. Honorable the Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, towards these conclusion, the Honourable MEC, Provincial Minister of Finance, indicated that in our packs is the speech. I think that is actually misleading the House, because unless others have got a copy of his speech,
Thank you. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Order. Order. Is that all, Honorable the Leader of the Opposition? Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Member. Order, Honorable Members. I would like to request the Secretary to read the bill for the first time.
Lomteto o Sailwayo Wabiwo Mali Wechona Koloni.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Honorable members, in accordance with Rule 188, subsection 1, the introductory speech, the bill and the papers laid upon the table will be referred to the relevant committees for consideration and report. Now the Secretary will read the next order.
Indiening en eerste lesing, Wes-Kaapse bykomende aansuiveringsbegrotingswetsontwerp 2019-20 finansiële jaar W2 2020.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I now recognize the Honorable Minister.
Speaker, I table the relevant documents in the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The Secretary will read the bill the first time.
Western Cape Additional Adjustment Appropriation Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. In accordance with Rule 188, subsection 1, the introductory speech, the bill, the papers laid upon the table will be referred to the relevant committees for consideration and report. Honorable members, before we adjourn, I would like to request that the members of the Budget Committee remain, because the Budget Committee will begin as we adjourn the House. And that concludes the business for the day. Thank you very much to the guests, to all of you members, and please remain standing for the procession. And that concludes the day. Thank you.